Hey, what is up, OVF? Yeah, I'm still a little sad we don't have the new music added to our original intro. Reason being is we're in the process of getting something licensed for user rights. And so until that's taken care of, we won't be able to update our wonderful video that we made. So, with that being said, happy Thursday. And we are going to be diving in real shortly. As you're coming on, go ahead and say what's up. Tell us where you're coming in from. Joe, you want to introduce yourself?
Hey, what's going on, everyone? For those of you that don't know me, my name is Joe, and I am one of the team members here at OVF. And I have the honor and privilege of sitting alongside Liam tonight. We're going to dive deep into some habits. We're going to go into some great things that you can implement to really make some lasting changes. So we got some good things in store. So we're excited to get into it tonight. It's always a good one with me and Liam.
Yeah, it's always fun for sure. And as we're getting on, nobody's here. Everyone's busy having their holiday taken care of.
Yeah.
I know for me, just getting the holiday stuff sorted out was quite a handful. Who else is doing their holiday stuff right now? Are you guys procrastinating, waiting till the last moment, or
wait
till the last moment to you guys? I mean, for me, I kind of procrastinate with that stuff.
And Christmas is on a Friday, so you have that whole week to really procrastinate right up until.
I thought Christmas is Saturday, just like New Year's.
Oh, I don't know. That was
Christmas is Saturday. New Year's Day is Saturday also.
25th. Oh yeah, it is a Saturday. New Year's Eve is Friday. New Year's Eve.
Yes,
Friday. Gotcha.
That's correct.
Cool.
All right. So last week we got real deep into habits. All right. So we want to give you guys some extra actionable steps. Go a little deeper into it once again. There are 4 laws of behavior change or habits, if you want to call it that, because that's essentially what it is. And the first one is cue. So that's kind of like your trigger, what causes you to start that action, right? So after you have a trigger, you're going to go into the second law, which is craving. Like, let's use social media as an example since we're on here. You hear that ding alerting you to the live stream, or someone just gave you a nice new like, right? And then you have this yearning to figure out who it was that just sent you a like, what they have to say. That's your craving. So after you have that stimuli, you're going to go ahead and go into the third law, which is response. So you're going to go in, check your messages, figure out who that person was or what new notification had you jump online, go into your notifications and what triggered it. And so your response would be rewarded by a happy comment, or even a negative comment can be a reward to your brain. It's just because someone had said something to you. So you ever have those children that they will do the worst possible things, not because they're bad kids, but just because they want attention? They don't understand that they can get positive attention yet. So just because they're craving the attention, they know if they do bad things, they'll get rewarded with negative attention. So that works the same way when it comes to that. So if a kid is just doing bad things, seeking your attention, then it's not necessarily they're bad kids. They just want to get the attention that they're seeking, and they don't know any other way to do that yet. Does that make sense? Are you familiar with that too, Joe?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is definitely something that we see spill over into adulthood. So many adults get stuck in these patterns of literally getting addicted to to confrontation and to fights, and because there's a chemical response that actually goes out and that actually fulfills one of our core desires within us. So 100% on point. It happens when we're little and it transfers over to when we're older. So we're always looking to fill these needs within us, and our body doesn't always tell good from bad, right from wrong. It just knows these triggers and it looks for these chemical responses. That way we can feel seen, we can feel heard, we can feel valid, we can feel like our identity is kind of affirmed. So I think you're 100% on point with that.
Awesome, dude. I know you've gone through this journey as well with redoing your habits and taking stock of the ones that you want to keep and then the ones that you want to remove. You want to walk us through some of an example of one of those that you've done using these 4 laws?
Yeah, absolutely.
Craving, response, and reward.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to preface it by one big thing also. Take all this aside, all this, the cue, craving, habit change, is all well and good. But if you don't have this one concept, it all means nothing. And there's this one thing, and it's belief. If you don't believe you can actually change, then you're not going to change. You can have the concept of changing, you can want to change, but if you don't believe that you can actually change, then you're not going to be able to make those steps to actually make the change. You're not going to believe you have the capacity to become that new person. And that's where I found myself, as Liam was talking about. When I got out of the military, my identity was a drinker. My identity was working 60 plus hours a week. I had all these things I worked in construction. I had all these things that I was tied to that I needed to, when I started to really take a close look at who I wanted to become, I needed to start to release some of the things I wasn't, and then create that vision for who I wanted to become. And like Liam was just talking about, Q is the starting point. Q is the beginning. And I know Liam's going to touch on this a little later about setting up your environment. That was a big thing for me. So one of the biggest things I did to change myself and really, really turn everything around was my morning routine and my planner. My planner is like my personal, the Bible of me, of like everything in my life is there. My habits, my routines, the things I have to do, the people I have to call. And that thing's not sitting on a shelf. That thing is not sitting in a cupboard somewhere. That thing is in my kitchen or in my living room, open 24/7. The same with my journal. It's always right there because I'm always queued up to be going into that. So that way I don't forget to call that person or email that client or get back to that thing, you know. And then when you want to go to the diet, you know, we keep fresh food on the table. Oh, go ahead.
That's one of the big rules is to keep it simple, keep it visible, keep it easy. So you leaving your planner out there on the table makes it super easy for you to be like, oh, there's my cue. So once again, that's a positive cue that you set up for yourself, and you hide the negative ones. You make the negative cues harder to find, and the temptation ones, you hide them, make it as difficult as possible. And then the new ones that you want to keep and the good habits you keep, like Joe was talking about, you keep those super visible all the time, and everything can be a reminder of that. Sorry, I just wanted to remind that. Also, one more thing. But when you were talking about the belief, it made me remember something. What's before belief, though?
Oof. Before belief is, what is it? YMCA?
Why? Your why.
Oh, your why. Why. Yes, of course.
Your why. Your why is so important.
Yeah, absolutely. That cannot be overstated. When you have your why, you become resourceful. You don't look for resources, right? You know, you can move mountains when you have the right why. When that why is bigger than yourself, it's actually unbelievable what you can achieve. And that's been the driving force behind everything I've done. And I love that you bring that up, Liam, because it's literally the first question I ask in everything, not just my business. Like if I want to tackle an athletic endeavor, like I did the marathon, like if I didn't have a strong why, I would have quit 2 months into training. If I want to pick up guitar and play guitar, if I don't have a strong why, when things get difficult, I'm going to put it down and say, this isn't for me. But when I have a deep why, and more specifically, at least for me, when that why is connected to things outside of myself, which I think that our purposes are all interconnected with one another. So when we really grasp onto that and understand the impact we're having to other people with our why, man, nothing's going to stop you. And it's the most important question you can get your hands on, because like I mentioned before, you become the most resourceful person in the world when you have a strong why. And that's hands down.
Absolutely, dude. Richard says, yes, either you dictate your schedule or it dictates your failure. I've always been taught you live and die by your schedule. That's why it's very important to schedule literally everything. Like I put family time and all that stuff on there. If it's not on there, yeah, I do have these little spots on there that's like free time that I block off, where it could be like whatever I need to accomplish. That's free. But for everything else that I know, I always make sure that it's scheduled. And because the things that you schedule and give attention to are the things that are most important to you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
If you don't keep those things in your constant forefront of your mind, and the schedule does help do that, it helps you literally choose the things that are important to you. Because I know that personally, just getting into the rhythm of doing all my work, like I was doing when I was knocking doors, I would get lost in that shit. I left no time for anybody else, not even the ones I loved. And I didn't even realize that I was doing that. And that is not a good thing. When you love someone so much and then they start feeling sidelined more and more, and you're not even doing it intentionally. It's just because you haven't been giving them the attention and you haven't been being mindful of your actions completely. And your schedule will help you determine your choice of the things that you want to stay responsible with and on top of. And I know Joe can talk about this part for hours too, scheduling. He loves scheduling.
I do. And I have an important point for this too, right? Because you say to one person scheduling and they run for the hills. They're like, absolutely not. I can't schedule. I fall apart when I schedule. I don't stick to it. And, I see it in the terms of the masculine and feminine. So the masculine energy is our left brain. It's our logic. It wants boxes. It wants structure. It wants action, which is great. Fantastic. The feminine, on the other hand, is the right side of the brain. It's the creative. It's the emotional side. It's the flow. It's the more thinking and feeling portion of it. And really, my journey has been a really big part of this has been my integration of the both. I believe that we both have masculine and feminine within us, and it's about integrating both of these energies. And what I've come to learn from talking to people, working with clients, is that I think we have different percentages. So me, I thrive on structure, but I realized when I go too heavily into structure, I fall off routine. I'm hard on myself, and I can keep up for a while, but I always end up falling off. So I've realized I need a certain percentage of flow within my rigidity. So while my days are structured, there's always flow in there. There's always an availability for me to move things around, for me to have free time, for me to allow that feminine to have that time within the day. Now, on the other token of it, someone else may be super, super flowy, and that's how their human design is. So maybe they're 70 to 80% flow, but they need a little bit of that structure. They may resist it and push it, but they need a little bit of that drive and that do kind of attitude to get the things done that they're thinking about and that they're feeling into. So, we're not going to sit here and say, hey, you have to plan every day and everything's got to be planned out to a square. Like, you need to tune in what's best for you. But just understanding that there's a balance to be had between both. Because I think if you're full in on either side, you're either up in the clouds, just wavering around, not making, maybe making forward progress, but you're spinning your tires. And then the other way around, you're getting burnt out. you're not flowing. You're, like Liam said, you're getting tunnel vision. You're not thinking about the other people, the other hobbies or things that you love in your life. So it's really about coming to this balance that works best for you and it's most productive. I think what they say at Entre, it's either effective or ineffective, not good or bad. Just is it effective or is it ineffective? Which way is it working for you? And really taking a hard look at that.
Yeah, I like that because that's extremely logical and that resonates with me. I like logic. I'm the very much the type of person who can be logical to a fault and then have all the emotional stuff just come rushing in out of nowhere. Like, where the hell did that just come from? So that's pretty much me, you know? What is it? Donald said, had to train myself into that habit. Like Liam said, start slow. I started slow. Yeah, I did too. Trust me. Just getting up an extra hour earlier was how I started with my habit. That was really the easiest thing for me to do, was just start with something I knew I could get an easy win on. And then start doing that with a bunch of other little things that you know you can get a win on. It's in a way it's like cheating. It's like stacking the deck in your favor, but by getting those small little wins, it gives you the momentum, the courage, and the belief in yourself that you can do the harder ones. And so you just start combining all those wins till you start running into the tougher ones. And then you can use all that momentum that you just got from all these silly little things that you were able to accomplish, and then use that to propel you forward. And that was how I did it personally. One thing I wanted to say was, Joe, I'm not sure if you knew me when I was really, really bad at planning personal time. Like, I know you were coming on and I was still kind of into it, but I mean, I still have those days sometimes. But I think it was when you first started working with us that I was really bad with taking my own personal time and balancing that part of life out, where all I wanted to do was just build. And I still fall into that sometimes, but I'm lucky I got you guys to keep me from falling into that trap. So for me, that's definitely where my downfall was I just want to keep going. And hell, that's how I ended up being hurt too, because just go. I mean, it was trained into us to do that. So you just have to realize that you got these moments when you just need to really step back and start observing yourself and your actions from outside you. I'm not sure of another way to describe that. Do you know, Joe?
Yeah, I think what you're trying to say here is like observe your the way you do things, your actions, your patterns. It's a computer program. We are creatures of habit, so we're literally a program that is driven by our beliefs, and our beliefs is the operating system. So taking a look at how the operating system's looking, it's really like just understanding like, well, I'm doing this because of this. So going down to the root cause of like, why are you even doing things? Because 95% of the actions we take, 95% are subconsciously driven. That means that automatically driven by a prior belief is how you're doing 95% of things. And I have some news. Most of those beliefs are skewed, wrong, distorted, or some other kind of cognitive thing going on that's potentially holding you back or living a reality that isn't even true. So what he's saying is taking a very hard look at why you're doing things, because it's so easy to just drown out, go through life, and just never take a moment to understand why you're even taking actions. For 32 years, I was asleep. The term's like asleep. You're not awake. You've heard like the awakening and being awake. Well, it's being awakened to how you respond to the world, how you react, why you do the things you do. And I think that's exactly what Liam's talking about here, is taking that step back from the processes and watch the computer work. To think of the body, the brain's a computer, and the consciousness is around it. and we can observe it. And that's the whole point of meditation. Meditation is not about just blanking the mind out and sitting there with a blank mind, not thinking about anything. It's a chance to actually sit there and observe the mind and see what it's doing. And since I'm there, I'll talk about this a little bit because I just watched a really great Ed Milet. They had a PhD on talking about mindfulness. And this lady was talking about how the average person between 5 and 7 seconds, their consciousness is off and their brain's trying to go somewhere. And she was talking about how she talked to this guy who had been doing this for 20 years, some meditation guru. And she's like, whoa, your attention span must go minutes, hours. Like, it must be incredible. He's like, mine still goes 5 to 7 seconds. I'm just a lot more aware when my brain's off doing things. He's like, imagine your mind as a lake, flat. I can see every ripple when it tries to go off and do something. So that's what meditation's all about. It's not about quieting the mind, because you're not going to do it. It's every 7 seconds it's want to go off. It's about saying, oh, you went off. Okay, we're coming back.
Hey,
and
look, a
all
pony.
meditation is coming back.
Did you hear me?
No, what'd you say?
Oh, look, a pony.
Yeah, seriously. So, you're not going to fight your brain into submission, but you can not give into it so it doesn't run your day, run your decisions, and run your life. And that's the whole point of the whole meditation movement and mindfulness in general.
That's why I was misled when I was explained meditation when I first tried. I mean, it may not have been intentional. I'm not even sure who told me these things. It could have been TV, it could have been society that I picked it up on, but I thought it was you just had to quiet everything. And because I could never do that, my mind's always solving problems. My mind's literally always solving problems, and then problems down the road and more problems after that, even though the first one hasn't even been solved in reality yet. Mm-hmm. So for me to quiet my mind, I thought I was just failing.
Yeah.
And so I took that kind of hard. And it wasn't until I was explained that it's not really quieting your mind, it's focused thought. It's the focused thought in the directions that you wanted. After that, it started making sense to me because I use a guided meditation. You're familiar with it. And everyone who worked closely with me is very familiar with it because I can't stop speaking about that one guided meditation highly enough. It keeps things simple for me. It has all the ones that are backed by science combined into one. So it's got a bunch of different steps and layers that it goes through, and they stack on each other as you're going through these steps. So when things are backed by science for me, that really helps with my logical side of my mind. You know how I am with the woo-woo stuff. I mean, I still get like, whoa, how the fuck did that work? I just can't explain it yet, but I know there's a way to scientifically explain it. And maybe we're just not there yet, but that's how I feel about that. And you know that from when we were in Colorado.
Yeah.
I was like, how the fuck did that happen? You remember?
Yeah, yep, absolutely. Oh man. And you know what, to go back to your point earlier, you were talking about the little things and making the little changes. You said you had woken up, say, an hour before. And even if you did starting at 5 minutes, and because, I wanted to touch upon this because you're making a vote for who you wish to become or who you're becoming with each action you take. So there's an example I heard recently that really felt like it fit in here, where there was a guy who was, he was overweight. He was trying to go to the gym, and he was trying to build this new identity. He would literally go to the gym every day, drive to the gym, go inside, and leave. He didn't even do anything. He didn't pick up a weight, nothing. He just started to build the identity of, I'm someone who goes to the gym. He didn't see himself as that before. So his big move was actually physically getting there. So then after a little while, he's like, well, I'm coming to the gym. I might as well pick up a weight. And eventually down the line, that just increased until he hit his goals. He hit his weights. So this is just a proof of that importance of, it's not just like the small steps, but it's voting for who you're wishing to become. You're saying, I'm the type of person who gets up early. That's me. I will tell you, my whole life until last year, I said, I am not a morning person. I put a box around myself that says, I'm groggy, I feel like shit, I have no energy. So, since that's what I decided to write for myself, for my identity, that's who I was. This year, I did a 6 week challenge of some sorts. I did a bunch of those this year. And one of them was getting up at 5 a.m. every day. And I had immediate resistance. I was like, you know what? I'm a night person. I'm productive at night. I don't want to get up at 5. And I ended up doing it. And that first week, I felt phenomenal. Like I went in with a positive mindset. I woke up, I had energy. I was doing all the things for my morning routine, and like everything was locked in. And I realized like, whoa, like when I started my day at 5, I had a workout, yoga, meditation, like everything in my day was done by 8. And then I had the rest of the day for everything else. Whereas before, at like noon, 1 o'clock, I was getting like my morning routine, everything done. Then I was getting into my day. So, it was just such a proof to me of like, you create the boxes, and what you do is creating a vote for who you wish to become and who you're becoming, and wrapping back around. You just have to believe it. I believe like, whoa, I can be a morning person. After I experienced that, I'm like, okay, wow. So I could be a morning person. I could be a night person. I'm not born anyway. I'm born into my habits. That's essentially what I am.
Yeah. That's why I love the book, and that is an example from Atomic Habits. The guy with the gym, just showing up to the gym. That is one of the examples in that book. But that's why I like it so much, is because sometimes I like to be a bit of a control freak, and just knowing that I can go ahead and be that in control of myself is really exciting. Like, it all falls on you. Like, you have the ability to literally change all these things, and you can reprogram yourself to be whoever you want to be. And yet you do take votes constantly for the type of person you want to be. Oh, chips on the counter. Oh, look, those are nice and simple. Let's go eat some of those. No. If you catch yourself slipping with something like that and you don't want to eat them, then just pick them up and remove it. And then I guarantee you, in like 5 minutes, if you've made it hard enough, you wouldn't even think about them. Or you exchange the habit. Like, you saw your chips and then you made that harder and then went and grabbed something healthy. By doing that, you could turn the negative things into positive triggers or cues. That one video you were talking about with the Ed Milet interview with James Clear, he was talking about how they think that all these super successful people have like iron willpower. When he was like, no, it's not the case at all. It's just, I know my willpower sucks, so I don't leave it to chance. I remove all those negative temptations, all the things that I don't want to be tempted with. I just get rid of them all so that I'm not stuck in an impossible choice for myself where I know that I'm going to fail. I stack the deck in my favor. I'm always going to stack the deck in my favor, is what he said, so that he can essentially be the person he wants to be. And because he knows that these are his weaknesses, he sets up systems and positive triggers so he doesn't have to fall into these traps. He makes it super easy for himself to win. And that's exactly what Joe was talking about, with setting up your environment. When your environment is set up to win, then you can't fail. But you have to be willing to make these hard choices and really look deep within yourself, understand your faults and how to overcome them so that you don't get put into these circumstances where you could fail. Right? Alcohol was, when I got off all my pills and my medicine from the VA that they kept throwing at me, first thing I did when I got out was, okay, I'm not using that stuff anymore. I can't deal with it. It was ruining everything for me. But the thing that I shifted to was alcohol. Alcohol's good. That's legal. That's safe, right? But so I immediately shifted to that. Not because I was trying to do right. I was trying to be a better person. I was trying to stay away from all the pain meds that the VA threw at me, and I didn't want them anymore. And the pain was so difficult, and I wasn't taught how to manage the mental pain, the physical pain, and all the different levels of pain that we were given. And I just went to alcohol out of ignorance. I didn't even realize I was doing it. I was just slipping into the same trap just with alcohol. And then if one day, eventually, I kind of just went out of nowhere and went, you know what? I don't even want alcohol. I'm not a drinker. I don't even know why I keep doing this. And I swear it was overnight that I went from drinking all the time to nothing. It was like I made that choice to not be a drinker, and my mind just absorbed it. Is like, hey, he really believes this. He's not a drinker. Why are we going to let him keep drinking? And then I stopped. It was literally overnight.
Absolutely. And I'd like to chime in on this one because this is a big one in my heart. You know, you go to AA, and AA is a great program. You know, I've seen a lot of people change through it, but they have that slogan that you're an alcoholic for life. And I completely disagree with that, because then you are an alcoholic for life. I understand what they're saying, that, you know, you have to be mindful and there's always a chance. But if you're going to say you're an alcoholic, you are going to constantly fight that battle to the day that you die. I was an alcoholic. I used to abuse it, and I used to do all the things consistently. And when I had your moment, your why moment, like you had, I that's not who I am. I'm not a drinker. Now, every time that comes up, the identity of you not being a drinker just gets affirmed time and time again. You know, but you have to believe that. You have to understand this is who you're becoming. And I completely understand that's a hard battle. You know, not everyone can just put that bottle down and walk away. There's physical addiction to that. There's mental addiction to that. There's so many layers to that. So we're not sitting here saying, you could just put it down and then walk away. That's it. But you do have to start making that new identity, making those new patterns, those new habits, maybe getting out of those situations so that you can make that new identity.
Yeah. I know you went through it a lot worse than I did. So I have to give you a lot of credit for that. And I'm not trying to make it sound like it was something that was super easy. I don't even understand completely on why that went that way for me. It was just one moment I believed I didn't want alcohol. I wasn't a drinker anymore. And so I just stopped. I did the same thing when I ended up stopped smoking one time. I stopped smoking for like a whole fucking year. I don't even know why I started smoking again after that. It was just like, I'm done. And then I was completely done. I didn't even want another cigarette or anything. And then something triggered me like a year later. And then I ended up smoking again. And then I transitioned to vaping. But yeah. I think that would be a good segue into failure.
Yeah, absolutely. Failure is a great thing, isn't it, Liam?
Honestly, yeah. I didn't always believe that, though. Most of us don't. I think as a society, we've been conditioned to think that failure is the worst possible thing. And I don't even know if it was intentional, to be honest. I think it was just one of those accidental fuck-ups that we do to each other just because societal norms.
Absolutely. There's this picture that gets driven that everything's perfect, and then the whole ride up is just, especially in this age of social media, right? We don't see the background. The success happens in front of everyone, but the blood, the grit, the determination, the fallbacks, the lessons, that all happens behind the scenes. We're not seeing that on the front reels or on the TikToks and all that. Some people are. I know for me that I make that a key point in being authentic. And when things are going right and wrong for me, I feel like it's the responsibility of people in that position, because as Liam was talking about, everyone sees this and expects, oh, well, he's just perfect. Everything's perfect for him. That's not me. I'm not like that. That's bullshit. All my lessons were learned in failure, all of them. And it's our choice to have our perspective. Our perspective is either our prison or our passport. So if you look at those failures and you let that defeat you, well, then it's going to hold you where you are. But if you look at that failure and say, okay, what am I learning from this? Do I have to adjust course? Do I have to keep pushing forward? Because a lot of times failure is just the universe or God giving you an opportunity to affirm, like, this is what I want to do. Sometimes it's a test. Like, is this really what you want to do? We're going to test you, and we're going to give you, we're going to make sure you want this. And it's a test moving forward. Other times it's an opportunity. Maybe you have a little tunnel vision and you get knocked back it's an opportunity for you to look at the broader picture, because we have this zoomed in scale of what we're doing, the thing that's going on in our business and our life. And a lot of times a failure or a setback is an opportunity to pull up and look at the bigger picture of what's going on. So it's all divinely planned. And it's all about you taking that perspective into it and taking it and looking at it for the lessons, and not looking for how you're getting screwed over, how you're the victim, because then you're just putting responsibility outside of yourself and you're not taking control of your life anymore at that point. You're just leaving it up to situation.
Yeah. One of the things I just want to say real quick is my girlfriend really gets annoyed with me. Well, she used to get really annoyed with me when I was what she would call optimistic. Every time something went wrong, I refused to let myself get down on it, and I focus on what good could come from it. So I'm making an active choice that when things go wrong, what can I learn from it, and what positive can I take from it? Because guaranteed, there is always a positive if you're looking for it. It's like that whole mental thing where, oh, I want to buy a Ford Mustang, right? Or let's go with a really rare car. What's a really rare car, Joe, that you like?
Bugatti came to mind.
A Bugatti. Guarantee you, if we're talking about this, you're randomly going to start seeing them places.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you are going to start seeing them, whether it be even just searching online. You're going to pay extra attention because your mind is looking for it now. So when you start focusing with the good things and actively seeking out good things in bad situations, you're gonna start seeing them a lot easier and easier. It takes practice, and whatever you focus on is what you're giving your energy to. So if I keep dwelling on the negative things, then I'm going to become extremely jaded, fucked up, depressed, and start seeing nothing but negative and hate. So I choose to actively look for the good in everything. So failure being a bad thing was something I would beat myself up for it. But as an adult, and as I'm more self-conscious of everything that I do, and I do pay attention to the way I think intentionally, because the words I'm saying in my head, if I'm saying negative things, then I'm going to feel a negative kind of way. I'm going to beat myself up until I start believing it. Because whatever you say in your head, your mind does not know a positive from a negative. It hears you say, oh, I'm dumb, or just for something stupid that you did, like an accident that you just did. I'll say, no, I'm genius. I'm straight up Einstein, motherfucker. Like, I will go to extremes to convince myself of a positive thing after that negative thing that I said to myself. So I would do that constantly with the failures. I would beat myself up, and then as I slowly started to adjust, I would come back from it and be like, no, there's good stuff here. What is it? Start looking for it. And I talk to myself, but I was very conscious of talking to myself. It takes a lot of practice, because you are going to realize that you start saying really hateful, hurtful shit in your own mind over and over. But once you start listening for it, you're going to be able to self-correct. And this is extremely important. So now you can start looking and training yourself more and more on these good things. But whenever you do slip up, and you will slip up, we are all fucking human. You will slip up. You just have to be aware that you're slipping up. That's your first step right there. That's your cue, if you will.
Good one.
Use that as your cue to go ahead and create a habit of being positive. Like, think of the most outlandish positive opposite of that negative that you said to yourself. And the reason I say most outlandish is whether you believe it or not in that moment does not matter. It's what matters is that it's a positive thing. And the more extreme, the more crazy and wild that is, the cool thing is your brain doesn't care. It just hears this crazy, outlandish, wild, positive thing. And so that's going to start chipping away at all those negative things, because it takes something about 10x better to cancel out one tiny little negative. So that's why I say just keep going outlandish with all these positive things, and it's going to start making a real difference. I mean, even just talking the way I am right now about, oh, I'm fucking awesome. Did you notice the change in my personality? Just describing it to you guys. I got that little kick in my brain. I've got the happy juice, the dopamine and everything. It's just like, ooh, I feel really good, you know? So it's all these small little shifts that you can do. Just be very mindful of all the little things that you tell yourself. I went off on a tangent there. And so my girlfriend now is a lot more lenient when it comes to my over optimism with these things, and she's slowly starting to understand and starting to put it into play for herself. So that's something that I'm very proud of, because we want to focus on the wins, right? Don't get on them for fucking up. Focus on the good things for them making the progress forward, because if you dwell on their negative, then they're going to dwell on that negative so much harder. So try and look for the good in everything. See there, I said try. Look for the good in everything.
There's no try, only do.
Yes.
And you know, on that point too, you know, we're not telling you to sit here in la la land either. You know, we're you know, you have to acknowledge reality as well. You know, if things are going rough, and there's acknowledgement of it. So it's not like we're trying to transcend this, right? It's not like we're looking to zen out and live above all these issues. We're in the real world, you know, that we can acknowledge them. We can look at them for what they are. We can learn from them. But to Liam's point, then we go and we seek the positive, because when you're looking for the positive, your brain's in a mode to look for solutions, to look for answers. It's an open loop. You create an open loop when you look for solutions. And so your brain's always looping, looking for that solution. But it's not, so don't think you have to sit here and be like, holy shit, my house is on fire. I just have to sit here and think about cold stuff. Like, you could acknowledge, like, wow, my house is burning. And an important thing is, like, don't push the emotions away. Like, feel your emotions of what's going on, understand them, you know, try not to get lost in them. But if you just lock your emotions away, you push them away, you disconnect from them, you're going to manifest physical pain. You're going to manifest things down the road. So it's definitely important to acknowledge what's going on, to see it for what it is, and then make that correction, move towards that positive direction. Because I think I've seen it. I've seen people that are super positive, but they're out of touch reality positive, and they're bottling things up, and they're holding things inside, and they're a ticking time bomb of emotions, of things that they're suppressing and pushing because they're not fully accepting reality before moving on to that positive thought. So I really want to acknowledge that, you know, because I think it's an important part of this, an important part of the process. It's something I see come up so much in my plant medicine work, so many emotions held on to, and so many things that people just aren't acknowledging, aren't truly feeling. because you got to feel it to heal it. When we feel these things, we allow them to move through us. When we box them up or push them away, they stay within us, and eventually that leads to physical ailments because the body's going to speak to us in one way or another. And our physical pains, when we get sick and diseased, it's our body speaking to us about something. It could be emotional. It could be the way we're approaching life, the things we're eating, the way we're talking about ourselves. So it's a warning system. Our body is a warning system, and it's going to speak to you.
You know that I just realized? I mean, this just came to me while you were talking. Even our physical body knows it's better to be happier than focus on the sad stuff, because look at smiling and frowning, the amount of muscles, right? You've heard that old saying that it takes like a crazy amount of muscles to frown versus just a few muscles to smile.
Yep.
And I just had that connection for me real quick. It was like, wow, even our bodies knows this is better for us, but we just stopped listening to our bodies a long time ago through civilization and everything. You have a great night, Tony.
Yeah, thanks, Tony. Good to have you on here.
We'll see you later on. I'll hit you up later tomorrow. Yeah. That threw me out of my mode, right?
Yeah, all the stuff we talked about tonight is, it's simple. It's simple stuff, but it's not always easy. And especially with the workings of our brain and not wanting to feel pains and, taking this accountability can be a tough process, because understanding that you have full control of your life and who you are and your future and all that, well, it means that if you're not in a great position, it's your fault too. And a lot of us would rather sit in a shitty situation than own up to the fact that we are responsible for our situation. Now, let me tell you, we're not all dealt the same hand of cards going into this. I get that. It's not your fault if you have traumas, if you were poor, if your dad divorced your mom, if it's not your fault. But it is goddamn your responsibility of what you do with that. I have seen stories of people living in dumpsters, living in abandoned buildings with a crackhead mother, who went on to get PhDs and are doing multi-million dollars a year right now. So what's your excuse? Because you don't want to own up to the fact that you are responsible for yourself and your actions every single day. That's it. We all come into this world with potential. We all have infinite potential. And it's the realization of that potential is what we're here to do. And it's our responsibility to realize that. It's the difference between skill and talent. How many people do you see whose talents have gone to the wayside and wasted, right? All these athletes, some of these athletes with amazing, incredible talent, but they didn't know how to cultivate that into skill, into a skill set. And that happens through habit and through personal development, self-realization, awareness. I can't touch upon awareness enough. It's like 90% of the process. When you become into awareness of who you are, the rest is natural. Because when you're aware, like, oh, I'm doing this thing and it's holding me back, you're naturally going to not want to get held back. So awareness. Once I brought awareness in my life, within a year, I was a completely different person. If you had met me 5 years ago, I would not be talking on this at all. I wouldn't even know what the hell you're talking about. I was a shell of a person of who I was, all because, well, I decided to take some psychedelic mushrooms and I came into an enormous awareness of all the things that were holding me back and that were really making me the person I didn't even want to be. So awareness is the biggest part of it. It really, truly is.
That made me want to share something real quick. I just want to say that this may be a hard pill to swallow, but even the most miserable state you could be in is comfortable. And you may not feel comfortable in that state, but it's all you know. So you are comfortable there, whether you like it or not. And I don't want your guys' fear to stop you from making something of yourselves when you're letting the fear hold you back. But what is it that you're actually afraid of? Is it failing? Because we already went over that failure is a bad thing. Failure is exactly what you need to do to move forward. Literally every successful person has had a comment about failure. Look at one of the great people of our time, Will Smith. He talks about failure so often, about failure being something really important, and he wants everyone to change their relationship with failure. He has this saying that he does: fail early, fail often, fail forward. So take those lessons, look for the failure so that you can fail faster, because the sooner you fail, the more you're going to learn and the quicker you can get out of that failure and onto your success. So don't be so afraid to fail. Change your relationship, as he says. Look for the failure. Look for how to move forward from it. Obviously, we're not talking about self-sabotaging. We're talking about making errors in pursuit of your passion or dream. Because all they are is lessons for you to course correct, like Joe was saying earlier. And these are very important for you to move forward. And I like what Joe said about everyone just assumes these people are overnight successes. That because you see them doing their grind, you never see them failing all the time for years, possibly. I mean, look at Daymond John with his FUBU brand, right? That dude is sought after for everything now. You know who I'm talking about, the guy from Shark Tank.
Mm-hmm.
Another native New Yorker. Yeah. New Yorkers know how to do it right. But he didn't take any excuses from himself. He figured out how to overcome the little things. He just put in the extra work to overcome these things. Because whether you realize it or not, there's solutions for everything. The tough pill to swallow in that case is maybe you just don't want it bad enough. Mm-hmm. But there is a solution. Absolutely. Don't be afraid to ask other people. I used to be afraid to talk to people I perceived as being higher status than myself. Through door-to-door sales, I realized that people are just people. The amount of money they have doesn't make them good or bad people. They're just people. There's going to be shit people, and then there are going to be good people. I can tell you right now that majority of the poor people I encountered, I would rather go knock in the hood for someone who could not afford something from me and deal with those type of people, because they were the nicest, most down-to-earth people. Whenever I knocked and tried to sell in rich neighborhoods, they were the biggest fucking asshole pieces of shit ever. Money doesn't change doesn't make you a better person. It just heightens the level of good or bad you are. Yes, thank you. So it doesn't matter what your status is in society when it comes to money. What really matters is you as a person and what you're willing to do to help other people or help your family and make the right choices. Not everyone's going to agree with you. And so don't focus on the haters so much. There was a time here when Chris and I, we were helping so many people here. But just because we got hate we've only had hate from like 3 people total out of the whole year. And just 2 of those people, one of them wasn't even a vet, so I didn't give a shit. They were just assholes. But one of them was a vet, and it really hurt me to think that he believed that we were trying to do harm to the veteran community. And for that moment, I forgot about all the good we had already done at this point and I wanted to go hide. I want to stop for a moment. Obviously, I didn't stop, but I felt in that moment that, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. He thinks that I'm doing bad things for the veteran community. And so I was like, nope, I need to relax. I mean, I feel everything for emotions. And for a split second, I believed him that I was doing harm and started looking for ways in my head. How am I hurting the veteran community? What am I doing wrong? And then once you start asking yourself those type of questions, your mind's creative as fuck. It'll start looking for shit for you to hate yourself about. So just focus on the positive and don't let the stupid naysayers that don't even know exactly who you are, what you want, and what good you're doing. Don't let them rob you from helping other people.
Absolutely. You're not afraid of failing. People aren't afraid of failing. They're afraid of what people are going to think after they fail. That's really at the root cause. When you get down to it, it's a primal thing in our brain to be liked, to be loved, to be accepted. It's down to the roots of how we survived when we were younger. If we didn't get along with the tribe, we weren't eating, we were getting thrown out to the wolves. So to get accepted is at the core of us. So that's what you really need to deal with when you don't. And it's like, I like to say, you don't care what people think. You respect what they think, but it doesn't affect who you are. You have to be so firm in knowing, like Liam, now he knows I am making an impact. I don't care what anyone has to say. I know what I'm doing. When you're rooted in who you are, the outside noise isn't there. The outside noise is just noise. And that's when failure doesn't matter, because let's be real. When you fail, you're worried about what people think. Well, this person's going to say this. They didn't believe in me to begin with. I said I was doing this. Now I got to tell them. That's what we're really, really scared of at the core of it. And that's what you need to deal with, that imposter syndrome, that belief in yourself. Because when you have your why, you believe in yourself, and you know your mission is heart-centered and you're doing it, that doesn't matter. All that stuff doesn't matter. It's hard. When you hear something like that, like Liam just said, you're causing harm when all this man wants to do is help the veteran community. It's like a dagger, but we can have a Captain America shield when we fully understand what we're doing, who we are, and we're comfortable with that. We don't give a shit what anyone else has to say. And we don't speak bad about them. We don't wish bad upon them, because that shit comes back. That's karma. But you just let that be and let them live in that bubble, because they're going to bring those things into their life. That doesn't affect your life. I was going to say this before. Our external reality is a direct reflection of our internal reality. Every time, the relationships that show up to you, every interaction in your life is a reflection of your internal state. It's hard to take that one in, but it is. And are you going to run across jerk-offs, people that screw you over? Absolutely. But for the most part, everything you see and call into your life is reflecting upon some sort of belief that you have inside of your life. With that, I'll stop my rant. We got about 2 minutes left. See if Liam has anything on the back end of this.
I've always wanted to learn how to play hockey. So for the first time in my life, I started playing an adult league. No coaching. I just kept telling myself I will get better, and the difference is night and day. Thank you all for helping me with changing my mindset. Dude, that's awesome. And we love watching each and every one here, but we definitely love watching you move forward too, dude. I know you and I are very much alike with the way we think. We need more practice with expressing ourselves versus just being logic and like following rules. We like rules. We like things to be fit in nice, neat little things, but that's not the way the world is. The world's messy, sloppy, and doesn't always fit perfectly the way we want it to. And so we just need to be more open and receptive to the things that don't fit in their nice, neat little places. But I want to thank you all for spending your Thursday night with us. It's always fun when Joe and I get to be on here while Chris is off saving other veterans and other people in Colorado. with the personal development stuff. So I thought it was appropriate that we did a bit of that ourselves here for you guys on the home front. So thank you once again for spending your Thursday night. Joe, you want to close us out?
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys. Thank you so much. You could have been anywhere tonight, but you spent it with us. We're really grateful for you, grateful for being here. I think we touched on some powerful stuff. So we have a great weekend this weekend, and we look forward to seeing you all next week on the next one.
See y'all later.